Major League. Adding fog with the FOGDOG, straight to the top with the pace drop. Pace too hot, you can't keep up when he heats up and takes the lead. Now all you see is Drake University. So it's time to subscribe for the best alive and go stride for stride with the Batman pride. It's Adding Fog coming at you with the Top Dog exclusive. It's Adding Fog exclusive. Adding Fog, FOGDOG. Subscribe now for the Top Dog.
Our train, it's at 5:05, 3:49 right now. 3:49.
Pretty close to your mile time.
Yeah, that's 3:49. Hopefully a good sign for 2 weeks' time, Millrose. But yeah, no, that was a nice race.
Yeah.
Good morning, New York. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. Didn't film anything, nothing whatsoever before Millrose. It's the morning after Millrose Games Mile, the Wanamaker Mile. Slept awfully, always do after racing. Even though it was an afternoon race, I always struggle. Was sleeping after racing, just so much adrenaline. Chatting to friends, went out for dinner. Yeah, and just kind of couldn't stop thinking about the race. Rewatched it a couple of times, and a lot kind of goes through your head after a big race, and also a lot of like caffeine and adrenaline and stuff. So my plan, obviously, I didn't film anything whatsoever up until literally right now, the morning after the race. There is kind of a reason for that. I feel like I've always said that running will always be the main priority. I'm a runner who makes YouTube videos, not a YouTuber who runs on the side. I think that's right. So for Millrose, I qualified for Millrose by winning a race 2 weeks ago where I ran 3:53 in the mile, and that gave me the opportunity to race at Millrose Games, which is an absolutely massive meet, a lot of history to it, and the Wanamaker Mile in particular is like just such a famous event. So many big names in the past have run it, so many big names have won it, and last year Yared Nagu set the indoor American record here. I believe Yomif Kajelcha set the indoor world record at this meet of 3:47.01. Actually no, I think he ran that at Boston, but he has run a fast mile at Millrose in the Wanamaker Mile. So getting into the meet was just massive for me. I wouldn't have been in the meet if I didn't win that race 2 weeks ago. So for this race, I wanted to make sure I just took it all in. Not that filming and making videos takes away from that usually, but this trip, I really wanted to make sure, especially in a field like this with the opportunity to run as fast as the race was going to be going, I wanted to make sure I put all of my focus into doing everything in my power to make the most of the opportunity and run as fast as I could. In saying that though, I always want to make videos out of races. I don't think I've missed a race video, as in every race I've done over like the last 4 years, I think has been made into a video. But anyway, not to ramble on, I want to make a video out of this. I'm going for a run soon in Central Park, and I'm flying back to England tonight, but I'm gonna shower up, go get some food, run, and kind of just talk through the race and talk through the plans for the next few weeks. So that sounds like an awful plan. I don't really have it all planned out, but I think hopefully this will still make a good video, and I hopefully will still post this and it will still be worth posting. So bear with me, this will hopefully get better. Long story short though, very happy with last night. 3:49 mile, 3:49.62. Big, huge, massive breakthrough, 4-second PB. I knew it was coming. I absolutely knew it was coming based on how the last few weeks and months have been kind of progressing. But yeah, I'll talk about it more in a little bit. All showered up, 100% a great move. It just really wakes you up. If you would give someone stick for showering before running, or if you've never even considered showering before running, give it a go and then see what you think after. These are what I'll be running in, by the way, the Infinite Pro. They have just been released and I haven't run in them very much. These are still pretty fresh, but I really like them. But for going to get food. These are the Forge, I believe the Forge 96. Love them, really, really love them. Just like a good casual option. I have them in 3 colors now actually, and I'll probably get them in more, because yeah. Here she is, the final product. Just about to head out and run. We've got a little street view down here, and then there's like people just working in offices there. So a couple of times I've accidentally been naked with like the blind up and realized people across in their offices might just be checking their emails and seeing my dinky out. About to run. I do also want to mention I plan on going into a lot more depth about the race. One thing I don't want to forget to mention though is just like the team at the moment. I feel incredibly lucky to be part of the team. Mission Run Baltimore Distance with Under Armour. The momentum at the moment is just so incredibly good, and I don't want to jinx anything. You know, obviously this sport has a lot of highs and a lot of lows. The lows are part of it. There's going to be bad times in the sport for every good time you have in the sport, but at the moment it seems like the whole team is kind of rolling really nicely. We had our ladies running at Boston University on Friday, and then our guys running at Boston on Saturday, then me and Casey yesterday, and across the board in the mile and the 3K at BU, the ladies and the men just absolutely smashing it, which really gives you a lot of confidence when you're then racing the next day to kind of you see all of your teammates running so well, and you just kind of take inspiration from their performances, and it makes you want to, you know, live up to the high standards that have been set by your teammates. Just a quick little shout out to the women's team coached by Lara Rogers, and the men's team coached by Corey Leslie. Obviously Corey's my coach, and then our strength coach as well, Carrie Lane. And there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes as well with Under Armour, the footwear team, marketing, sports marketing, the run team. There's a lot of people involved, but at the moment everything is going really well, and it's a very exciting time to be part of the team.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what a treat. Good morning,
yeah,
beautiful.
Baby. Oh.
How was your night?
It was good.
How long have you been waiting here?
Not really that long, honestly.
Really?
Is your key not working?
Oh no.
Because mine wasn't either.
All right, Greyhound Bus Jan. A busy weekend. Here you are grinding away. Oh, Jaziri! Jaziri! Oh, that is a pain face of 7:41 for 3K. Thoughts on the weekend for the team in general?
Dude, unreal weekend. I mean, Ellie kicks it off with a 4:25, gets the world standard. She was shocked. I don't know why. Like, she's been looking really fit. She's been looking really good. Like, I feel like it was one of those things, like, as a team, like, that really set the tone. Like, you see one of your teammates, like, run a 5-second PB, run a world standard, you're like, fuck, like,
yeah.
How do I follow that up? Like, I gotta, like, be
Yeah.
on my A game. And then, like, Abby season best in 4:36. Then Lauren comes back, wins her race, 8:41, 8:42, like, 5-second PB. Lydia, season best, like, season opener coming off USA Cross. Courtney ran a 13-second PB, like, her first track race in like 4 years. So then it was one of those things where, like, Friday night ended, and like, me and Coach were like, okay, like, how are the guys gonna follow this up? Because this was a massive, like, day for the women. Like, now we need a massive day for the men. And that's not even, we don't even think about Sunday yet. Obviously, Saturday comes around, another huge day for Under Armour Baltimore, bro. John freaking 351 for the win. Like, takes down a loaded field. Like, like, obviously, like, a lot of, like, the best milers were in Wanamaker, but, like, that was a good field. I mean, Anna Society has run 351 like a million times. Like, Craig
He ran 350 last year.
Eric Hole. Like, there was a lot of, like, good guys in that race. The 3K boys coming back, 7:41, 7:42, 7:47 season best for Alec. Ryan, like, finally finding his groove, 358 season best. Like, you can't point to a bad race. Like, no one, like, underperformed. Like, you either PB or season best, which is always what you look for. Like, me and Corey, like, we're like at the airport Sunday morning, like, heading to Millrose, and we're like, man, we, like, these boys just need to sit in this race and run well.
Yeah.
And caps off a huge weekend. And then we were like joking, we're like I said something where I was like, there's no way they don't PR. He's like, let's not speak too soon. I was like, yeah, that's fair. So I mean, we get to Millrose, like, you know, you don't know what's gonna happen. We both know like Casey and Fog are both really fit. I mean, John just ran 351. Casey and Fog should be just as fit as him. So like, we're expecting at least PBs, man. At least PB, like sub 353 for sure. And the race goes off, and it was a hot pace. The three guys that were 1, 2, 3 kind of like opened like a little gap on like the rest of the field. But man, our boys ran insane. Like, there was guys that were like kind of like lacking on the pace, and like our guys kind of like moved around them, and then slowly kept closing those gaps till Fog found himself right behind George Mills, and then just rode the train the last 400, the last 2 laps. As you can tell by my raspy voice, it's been a crazy weekend. I lost my voice yesterday, and then Fog leans at the line, 349. Casey comes in 351, and I'm just like losing my mind. I'm looking all over for Corey because I know Corey's losing his mind. And then I was sitting on the second level right above where the finish line is, and I'm just like Foggy, and then he looks at me. We're like, let's go.
That was sick.
That was so sick. And then eventually found Corey. I look at Corey and I'm like, let's go. And he's like, it was a good weekend, man. It was like exhausting because like I feel like as him as the coach and me as like the media guy, like we're there with the guys and the girls like all the time, and like we get so invested in like your running and like your training and like your races that like it's draining, like watching like big races like that and like big moments. But no, it's great momentum for our team, like going into championships. I mean, we have 4 or 5 people with like the world indoor standard.
5.
So I think for you, Casey, John,
and Ellie. 4. Yeah.
But then obviously like USA's is gonna be pretty stacked this year, so like there's a potential that like even some guys can run standard there.
Yeah.
And
If it goes well.
Yeah. So yeah, next weekend's gonna be huge. I feel like we have some good momentum. Now it's a matter of like everyone just like making sure they take care of themselves as they travel and like get to their championships and just keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, it's me.
That is.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. That is it. That is all that changed. Nothing changed after Dr. Sanders.
No.
I was in 349 shape then. It just wasn't the race for it. Get in a fast race, run a fast time.
Okay.
It's always a lovely warm welcome back to England. Perfect weather for it.
Okay.
All right, see you in a bit.
25 minutes. Okay. Bye.
Yeah, I'll be 25 minutes. Dad.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. See you in a bit. Yeah, hopefully. Allegedly waterproof. We'll find out. 4:21 p.m. First day back in England. Landed at 5:30 this morning. Today is essentially a day off after I long ran yesterday, the day after the race. And long run looks a little bit different now that we are racing. Like, obviously, there's been a few recent long runs on the channel where it's really long and progressive, like they get moving, but now with racing, long runs are kind of a lot less far and a lot easier, like just running easy the whole time. So did that yesterday, day after the race, and now back in England. It was only a six and a half hour flight direct from New York, but I flew into Gatwick, which is like 2.5 hours from where my parents live. So Dad, classic Fog Daddy, was happy to drive. Well, probably not happy realistically, but he drove down, got me, and we drove back. And just had a very relaxed day. I'm definitely behind on sleep at the moment. So I had a big old nap. I always like dig myself a little bit of a hole with jet lag, but I mean, I needed to sleep, so I had a good nap, and now I'm just out for, I'm just gonna do like 20 minutes as a shakeout. Feel pretty bad right now, but that's kind of the purpose of shaking out the legs. This video is obviously a little bit of a different one compared to like the usual race video, but after this run I will talk about the race. And the reason why I am not, obviously 3:49, you know, 3:49 is quicker than I like expected to go, but as I said earlier, like, it didn't surprise me. I knew I was gonna be in something close to that. There's gonna be a lot like that I probably forget to say, but there were a couple of like post-race interviews that I will link with Sidious Mag and Let's Run, just from like immediately after the race, so I'll put them in the description because I feel like it's kind of cool. You know, post-race you're obviously very like, there's a lot going on, and you kind of get to see exactly what is kind of going through my head immediately post-race, so I'll link them. 20 minutes all done. I'll do a few little drills now just to keep the legs feeling a little bit like bouncy, just a few A-skip, high knees. I really like hopping, double leg hopping, a little bit of stretching, but just like dynamic stuff. Keep the legs kind of feeling as fresh as possible before going into another race week. These are these bouncy things I just mentioned. Them. You just keep your knees straight. Most of the drills complete. The GoPro died, but Mother Fog was good enough to whip out the iPhone and come out and just quickly film some of them.
In the rain.
In the rain. Classic. Always is in England. That's kind of something we do, not after every easy run, but a couple of days a week, and I feel like it's perfect after a little shakeout today, just to kind of keep the legs awake, because it's a reasonably quick turnaround. I race Sunday, and then UK indoors will be Saturday heat and Sunday final. There's a chance that there won't be a heat though. Also, in one of the post-race interviews, I mentioned that I had a cold. I am pretty much 100%, but I have been really blocked up, and it obviously didn't affect anything, but I was worried that it would. So kind of me mentioning that in that interview was just kind of talking about, there's so many mental things that happen in running. Like, you can wake up and feel awful in your little shakeout on race day, which is very regularly the case. And in the days leading up, I genuinely had I was decently under the weather, pretty sore throat, and then was pretty blocked up. So I was just worried that that might have an impact, but it obviously didn't. And yeah, I was pretty glad that it didn't.
And hopefully it won't for the weekend.
And it won't for the weekend. I'm good now. Like, I mean, there's still a little bit of the remnants, still some green stuff coming out of me, but pretty much 100% and good to go. And this weekend, if I can win, it would guarantee like automatic selection for World Indoors. If I don't win, then it's kind of discretionary. I think it'll just be me and Callum Elson with the World Indoor Standard this weekend racing in the 1500. So if one of us wins, whoever wins is guaranteed, and hopefully there'll still be a second spot anyway. But obviously the goal, when it's top one, is guaranteed. The goal will be to win. Alright. That is kind of it on this, but I do still need to talk about the actual race. I don't really know exactly where this video is going, but I think it'll still be interesting to get kind of a little bit of the background of how I think the race went, what I think I did well, what I think I could have done better, and why I'm not super surprised by running 3:49. Just because most of that is because of the momentum of the group. Everyone is going so well at the moment, and training has been indicating we're kind of trending in that direction.
Okay.
So yeah.
Lovely.
Good, guys.
Nice, guys.
Oh, hello there. We have finally got round to the part of the video where I'm actually going to talk about the race and about kind of my thoughts on it, and I'm going to break it into 3 little parts. The 3 little kind of sections are going to be training, expectations for the race, and then the race itself. And I think maybe there will be some new faces watching this video, thanks to Andrew from Total Running Productions, who has featured me in a couple of videos now, after the 3:53 and then after this 3:49 mile. So we'll get straight into it. Training is the first little topic, and I'll start off by saying it's all on Strava. All of my training goes on Strava, all the runs I do, all the sessions, and most of our group, I would say, puts training on Strava. And I mentioned this in one of the post-race interviews. Like, I think Chris from Sidious Mag was asking me what changed, like what's changed in training and what changed after the Dr. Sander mile 3:53 going into running a 3:49 mile. And honestly, like, nothing really has changed from what we were doing a year ago. I think maybe some slight tweaks in terms of, like, in the late fall, like the late part of the year where you're doing your big base training, I think we've kind of introduced more big hill sessions. Last year we did do some hill sessions, but they were kind of shorter reps and probably a little bit lower in volume overall, where this year, or I guess at the end of 2023, we started introducing hill sessions that were kind of up to 8, 9, 10 miles of volume of actual running up and down the hill. And then also long runs have maybe slightly got longer and a little bit quicker, but we were always doing those. We were always doing progressive long runs. I would just say they have felt a bit better. Should we let the dogs in? Georgie, George. Okay, after a short interlude to let the dogs in, yeah, I'll continue by saying we have also been doing speed development. Our strength coach, Carrie Lane, who has us in the gym a couple of times a week, we've been this year doing speed development, so just like little drills and stuff. Nothing major, but just kind of helping with turnover. And then in the gym, I mean, I'm obviously not a big heavy lifter, but I would say probably I've improved in the gym, and like we've been in there on average kind of a couple of times a week, but it's nothing crazy. It's kind of just maintenance, focusing on like being able to get off the ground quickly. But this is all stuff we were doing a year ago. So we've probably slightly improved with it, but no drastic changes. We've always been having regular massage. We are really lucky with our setup with Under Armour in Baltimore. We get a weekly massage, so that's just, again, maintenance, kind of keeps your body in check, keeps you hopefully feeling kind of fresh and reasonably loose and not too kind of sore with a decent amount of running volume. And then also one thing that I have kind of been doing more is going in the sauna. I don't know if the science behind it is really true, but who knows, running's been going well, so the sauna could be the key. And as well, just in terms of like recovery, on the note of sauna and massage, I would say I've tried a little bit more with my diet. I've been like cooking at home more than I would have been a year ago. And sleep, I feel like I'm probably sleeping better now than I was a year ago. So there's all those little things that it's hard to see the benefit of them all individually, but you always hear of these like little 1% improvements you can make. And I would say probably doing all these little things, massage, sauna, sleep, diet, hydration, they all probably come together, and you know, it's all little pieces to a jigsaw puzzle, and the more complete your puzzle is, the faster you're going to run in this case. So that is kind of that on training. As I said, Strava, link in description. Topic number 2, expectations for the race. So the reason why I got into this race is because I won the Dr. Sander Invitational Mile 2 weeks earlier. I wouldn't have got in without that. And honestly, straight away after that Dr. Sander 353, I knew that I could definitely go a lot quicker. We were too flat through 8:09. The plan was to go a lot quicker, but it just kind of worked out that way. So yeah, I closed pretty hard in that, and I felt really good doing it. So I knew that Millrose was obviously going to be a much faster race. So I knew there was a lot more in the tank, and I actually said to a few people, if I get everything right, I felt so good running 353 that I think on a perfect day, and I would need a perfect day, but sub 350 could happen. And I would need everything to go my way, and you know, it's still probably a little bit of a long shot, but in the range of kind of maybe sub 350, 350 I felt pretty confident of. And I actually missed the world indoor standard by 0.05 at Dr. Sanders, so that was like going into Millrose, that was kind of my bare minimum. I wanted to get that. So essentially, yeah, I knew I was in shape to go a lot quicker than the 353. In saying that though, like this obviously running 349 after having a mile PB 2 weeks ago of 355 seems like a big jump, but last year I ran 335 twice, which is 353 equivalent. The first of them, I won the race, and the second was Ostrava, which was won in 333 by Germa, who went on to run 329 like 2 weeks after that. And so the race wasn't as quick as planned anyway, but then also having 23 guys on the start line, I think I was maybe third or fourth from the inside, and because there's that many guys, 1500 start kind of bends around the bend, I got an awful start, which is kind of a pretty regular thing for me at the moment, but yeah, I got stuck in a really bad spot, and the race up the front was kind of going decently quick, but I just didn't work my way through. Essentially what I'm trying to say is I ran 335 twice last season, which is about a 353 mile equivalent, but I felt like at the end of the season I probably could have gone a bit quicker, you know, at least into the 334s, I would like to think, which is kind of in that 351, 352 mile type range. And I know I didn't do that, and so it's hard to say, but I think I could have gone a bit quicker. And like as well, when I ran my 355 in May last year, that was the only mile I did for the year, and I won the race by 3 seconds. So I think on that day I could have probably run 353, something in that range. And this is all hindsight. It's kind of, you know, I can't really claim that I could have done that, but I have now run 349, so I've known that something like this has been possible for quite a while, and it's good to have it done. So yeah, as well with the expectations thing, one thing I think that really kind of has added to me knowing I could run something like this is just like the way the team has been going, both on the men's and the women's side. Like everyone on the team at the moment seems to be on an absolute tear. Things are going so well in training and racing, and we're all most of the time based in Baltimore, so pretty much every day, unless we have like a rest day or a really easy short run where we'll sometimes run on our own, we meet and run together, and so it's just such a good environment for training. And as well, then the day before Millrose, we had our ladies race on the Friday night, the guys raced on the Saturday night, and then me and Casey raced at Millrose on the Sunday. So the rest of the team was at Boston University racing. And just to name a few quick results, the ladies absolutely smashed it, but obviously it's hard to, you know, compare my mile time to the ladies' results who I don't train with. So I'll mention the men's results. John ran a 351 mile and won the meet, beat some big names. His old PB was 357 in the mile. He did run 336 last year though, so kind of a slightly similar thing there. Ryan Adams, 358 mile, brilliant run, back under 4 minutes, and he ran 402 2 weeks ago. So great step in the right direction. Ahmed Jaziri, 741, 3K, old PB, 747. Been a couple of years, I think, since he's run a 3K, but huge progress. Willie, think 7:42, 2-second PB. Again, great progress. Alec Baston 7:47 3K. Not quite a PB. His PB is 7:46, but 3 weeks ago he ran 7:56. So everyone is kind of moving in the right direction massively, and so seeing those results, it just, not that we needed our training by any means to be like validated, but seeing everyone racing really well is kind of, me and Casey were then in New York like, oh man, John's just run 3:51, like the pressure's on now, and I think we were both feeling alright. But yeah, those were my expectations. Essentially, I knew if everything went well, we could be on for a really good one, and I thought the same for Casey. We both ran 3:53 a couple of weeks earlier, and everything had been going really well. Getting onto the race, for obvious reasons, I kind of can't use the whole video of the race. If you're in America, it's very easy to find. The broadcaster has it uploaded on YouTube, so you can watch the full race. If you're not in America, good luck. But I'll talk through it and show some little pictures and stuff. So got an awful start, absolutely awful. This has happened now the last couple of races. I was really ready to try and get out pretty well, but won't name names, but someone next to me decided he wanted to test his wingspan a couple of steps into the race, and just completely, I was completely blocked out. I didn't have any option. Like I got essentially pushed right out the way. I had no way of getting through and getting into a good spot, but it kind of worked out pretty well in the end. I just took my time, worked my way around the outside, so that after 400 I was probably in 7th or 8th in the race, and it was really fast early. I knew the front guys were going to be really getting out pretty hard, so I kind of just tried to relax and just took my time. I knew if I was feeling good, I could work my way up throughout the race, and that's kind of the way it panned out. I was in behind Cooper Tier through about 800, and there were some gaps kind of opening up ahead, and I felt really good. So I decided, kind of 800 in, I decided it was about time to make a push and start moving through the field. And long story short, 400 to go, I suddenly had got onto the back of the leading trio, so Yard Nagoose, Hobbs Kessler, George Mills. I got myself right up in behind those three, and I didn't realise at the time, but no one else had come with me. I'd kind of bridged the gap from being a decent way back to being right on the tail of George Mills. I was about 153 high through 800. I think the front guys were 151 high through 800. Obviously a little bit slower through 809. And yeah, once I got up to that point, I was like, I've just got to stay right here. Like, it's 2 or 3 laps, like 400-500 that I just have to hang on. And I knew they were going to be going fast, so I definitely wasn't going to be making any moves to go around unless I felt good kind of in the last lap. I knew it was fast enough. So 400 to go, I think I was 252, and yeah, that's way quicker than I've ever gone through the bell in a mile before. Or 400 to go, obviously the bell on a 200 track is 200 to go. But yeah, 252, I was starting to get pretty tired, and I think by that point a tiny little gap had opened up, and then Yara down the back straight just gapped everyone. He looks so effortless doing it and just moves away. But I knew I was on for something, a massive PB for me, and I knew that based on kind of what the clock was saying. Not that I was thinking too much about it, I was kind of just trying to run hard, but I knew based on where I was in the race that sub 350 could happen. One thing I did at the Dr. Sander Mile was ease up, accelerate, and not fully go over the line, because in that race I was like, wow, I'm winning the race, and I kind of didn't particularly expect to, being like my first mile of the year in a massive field, and I ended up missing the world indoor standard by 0.05. So going into Millrose and speaking with my coach Corey, who obviously has us all in really good shape, we're really well prepared, and I knew we all were. I was absolutely committed to running all the way through the line, whether I was going to run 4 minutes or under 350. I was running all the way through, and I, for the first time in a long time, actually dipped over the line to try and just run as fast as I could, and looked up at the board, saw 349.62, and it was like just massive. I would say probably relief, maybe a tiny bit of shock, but mostly shock because it actually had all come together. I knew it was possible. I always knew this was possible. But in the end, yeah, just massive relief, because in the days leading up, it's like I really wanted to run that World Indoor Standard, and if I was coming into UK Indoors and was 0.05 off the standard because Millrose didn't go as planned, it would have been really disappointing. So the day of the race, I was just trying to be extremely focused on doing exactly what I knew I was capable of and what I knew I was able to do to at least run under 353.5, the World Indoor Standard. And yeah, so I committed to running through the line, dipped under 350, and yeah, it all came together perfectly. So yeah, that I think is pretty much what I wanted to say about this. In the end, I think honestly, it took being in the right race. I think if I had a time trial where there were a few people in front of me and they were going to be going fast last year, I think I could have run, as I said before, I think I could have run a decent amount quicker than I did. It's so many things in this sport are about getting in the right race, and I was extremely grateful to have the opportunity to run at Millrose, and that was another thing. I wanted to make sure I absolutely made the most of the opportunity. Casey, my teammate, came in next behind me and he ran 351, which is another really great result for the team, and kind of shows where we're all at this early kind of point in the year. So yeah, it was just so good, and so good to be able to really make the most of the opportunity. Now, back in England, racing UK Indoors this week. Still don't know if it's heats and final for the 1500 or just going to be a straight final on Sunday. But I now have that World Indoor qualifier. So if I win this weekend, I'm guaranteed to run at World Indoors. If I don't win, then it's up in the air, discretionary. But I'm going to be giving it my all, trying to win. I really want to make this World Indoor team. It's crazy because like 3 months ago, running the World Indoor Standard probably didn't sound like something I was going to do this early in the year, but based on how the last couple of months have been, yeah, it's all gone really well, and hopefully I can put it together this weekend and get on the team. To conclude, because I feel like there's probably been a lot of explaining, this has been obviously a really, really exciting race, and again, while I'm not extremely surprised that something like this has now happened, it's still really, really cool, because a few years ago running under 350 for the mile sounded not possible. That time puts me 9th all time indoors, and it's the 12th person in history to run under 350 for the mile indoors. Obviously outdoors as well, it ranks a lot lower. I think I'm 72nd all time in the mile with that. But yeah, to do something that not many people have ever done indoor is a pretty cool thing, and I definitely don't undervalue it. But that's the thing with running. As soon as you do something, your perspective changes. The bar is constantly going up and up and up, which is probably also what's driving everyone to run faster. Your perspective changes. You almost like forget what 349 used to sound like. I remember it sounding incredibly quick for a 1500 not that long ago. And yeah, so it's essentially now just straight back to work, try and qualify for World Indoors, and yeah, hopefully get ready for a big 2024. So thank you for watching, and UK Indoors coming up next.